if Canada, for example, came to the United States and said, we're going to zero tariffs in the United States. All of them are off on our end. Would you, Mr. President, speaking to our president, go to zero tariffs and then just let Canadian companies and American companies compete on a level playing field?
Absolutely not. As we saw last week, when 2 weeks ago, when Prime Minister Carney went to China, he lowered tariffs on Chinese EVs from 100% to 6%. U.S. has a 100% tariff on Chinese EVs. We couldn't let our northern border be used as a way for Chinese EVs to come into the U.S.
Right. Okay. I'm going to lead you a little bit because Senator Scott is a she-bear when it comes to time. The poverty rate, according to the Census Bureau, is 11%, isn't it, in America?
I'll take it. I'll take your word, Senator.
And that's the Census Bureau defines poverty, is it not?
Yes, sir.
Is it not true that the Census Bureau, in defining poverty and determining that our poverty rate is 11%, or 36 million Americans, which makes us look bad, only will consider direct cash payments from the federal government to poor people, such as, let's say, SSI payments or TANF payments?
Correct.
Okay? And isn't it true that the Census Bureau, in determining poverty, doesn't include non-cash payments? It doesn't include Medicaid or food stamps or housing subsidies or refundable tax credits. Isn't that true?
That is correct, Senator.
Yeah. Now, let me give you an example. Mom, 2 kids, poverty level for her and her kids is $27,000. Mom works part-time. She makes $11,000. According to our Census Bureau, she's poor. She's below the poverty line. But she also receives, she works, I recall I said, makes $11,000 a year. She receives $4,100 in refundable earned income tax credits, $3,400 in refundable child tax credits, which means she gets a check, $9,200 in food stamps, $9,500 in housing subsidies, $900 in utility bill subsidies, $16,000 in Medicaid, $31,000 a year in free school lunches, and $6,000 in TANF payments. If you add that up, that's $64,100 a year, according to math.
I'll believe your arithmetic, Senator.
Okay. But using the Census Bureau's definition of poor, they don't include all these payments. They just include her income and the TANF payment. Does that make sense to you?
No, sir, and you should bring that up with the Commerce Department.
I know, but you've got influence. I know how close you and the Commerce Secretary are. I'm hoping you could bring it up with somebody above.
The president says we're opposites, and I'm tall.
I'm not going to comment on that. Would you talk to the president about this? If you include all cash and non-cash payments, the poverty rate in America is 1%.
That's a good point to end on.
Thank you, Senator.
I told you he was a she-bear.
Senator John Kennedy took aim at federal bureaucracy during a committee hearing with the Treasury Secretary. Using a combination of local pleasantries, global trade realities, and a barrage of rapid-fire math, Kennedy set his sights on a surprising target: how the U.S. government defines and calculates poverty. After securing a tax filing extension for ice storm-battered Louisianans and a firm confirmation on strict tariff policies regarding China, Kennedy cut to his core policy debate: is the official U.S. poverty rate a massive misrepresentation? Kennedy aggressively dismantled the Census Bureau's official metric, which places the American poverty rate at roughly 11%, around 36 million people. The Census Bureau only counts direct cash income like wages or rural welfare checks. When determining if a family is poor, the government entirely ignores the massive safety net of non-cash benefits. Food stamps, Medicaid, housing subsidies, utility assistance, and refundable tax credits are completely left out of the calculation. To illustrate the absurdity, Kennedy laid out a stark mathematical example. A single mother making $11,000 in part-time wages is officially classified as living in poverty. However, when adding her $53,100 worth of non-cash government benefits, including food stamps, housing, and Medicaid, her actual economic resources skyrocket to $64,100 a year. Under pressure, the Treasury Secretary conceded that the Census Bureau's math does not make sense, urging Kennedy to take it up with the Commerce Department. Kennedy finished with a dramatic conclusion. If the government actually counted the true value of all the aid it distributes, America's poverty rate wouldn't be 11%, it would be closer to 1%. Senator Kennedy exposed a critical truth that Washington bureaucrats prefer to ignore. You cannot spend trillions of dollars on a social safety net and then calculate the poverty rate as if that safety net does not exist. The current system relies on a broken, decades-old formula that actively hides the impact of trillions in taxpayer funding. By ignoring non-cash benefits, the government creates a warped statistical illusion that makes the country look far worse off than it is. Kennedy's point isn't about cruelty or cutting off aid, it's about basic administrative honesty. If we are going to accurately measure poverty and judge the effectiveness of federal programs, we have to count the actual resources families receive. Right now, our data is broken, and Kennedy successfully forced the administration to admit that Washington's official poverty numbers are nothing more than bad math.